Okay, hello, hello YouTube. How are you all doing? Tonight I wanted to answer some of the questions that I have received from you guys that you've left on the comment. You've commented on the videos that I made on this channel. So I wanted to address those, and maybe for some of you um, who wants to find out about the answer and don't have the time to go through the questions, there's actually a theme of these questions that you're sending me. So one of them, very common, many of you ask this question a lot. You say something like, I've sent my application and I've not heard from the Home Office. How long does it take for the Home Office to respond? And really, the short answer to that question is, how long is a piece of string? Sorry, just joking. But essentially, no one knows. The lawyers won't know if you apply unless there is a specific time frame of the specific application you've applied. Then all you have to do is really just wait. So wait for the Home Office to contact you. As I mentioned in, I think, many videos, few videos, in fact, the only way you have to do is to contact the Home Office. You either pay for that using the phone, or you email them. There's also an email contact, or you make a complaint. But unless you've waited 6 months for the decision, then there isn't really anything anybody can do. So you can phone, okay, you can phone and pay maybe, I don't know, £5, because they charge £1 something per minute. And all it does is they take your name, they take the reference number, they take when you made the application. And as soon as you've given those information, then they log it on the system, and then they will tell you, okay, we are going to email this department that's dealing with your case. But they will ask you, when did you make the application? If it's less than 6 months, there's not much they can do, except they'll tell you to wait. So for those of you who I've got my phone here, for those of you who have made an application, especially for those who have made the pre-settled status, and you're asking, how long do I have to wait for my residence card? How long do I have to wait for the decision? There is really no guidance on it. So if you've waited 3 months, it's still quite, it's still early to kind of chase. But if you have a reason why you need to have the decision, for example, employment, then as long as you can say to your employer, I am a family member of an EU citizen, or I am an EU citizen who's applying for, you're not supposed to be asked this to provide your status until after the 30th of June. So if you are applying for a pre-settled status and you're kind of panicking because your employer or whoever's asked you for the information, then you have to turn around and say, you're not supposed to ask me this. You're not supposed to ask me to prove my digital status or to prove my status in the UK until the 30th of June. Before that, it's kind of considered discriminatory. And in fact, when you read it on the guidance or the Home Office website, it will say, you're not going to be asked for your digital status. Employers are encouraged not to ask for digital status until after the 30th of June. Okay, you have to turn around and say this is discriminatory. Okay, so that's one. But if you're applying for, let's say, pre-settled status, not pre-settled status, limited leave to remain, or naturalization, you really just have to wait. I know it sounds it sounds a bit bizarre for somebody saying, you just have to wait. unfortunately, that's the fact of life of immigration process in the UK. But I don't think it's unreasonable. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect you to wait, because that's what you have to do. Okay, it takes a lot of I suppose manpower to deal with applications, especially in the pandemic time. Okay, so that's one. Now, let me just see. Hello, New Life. I think Abdul. Let me just check what else you've sent to me here. But if you have any questions you want to ask, you know where to leave on the side on the chat here. So, yes, one of you also asked. Someone asked about pre-settled status, and this is very, very topical at the moment because the deadline is really fast approaching. So people are outside the UK and they're trying to see if they can apply for pre-settled status. Whether they can, they've lived in the UK. Like one of them said, I've lived in the UK for 2 years, but I'm out of the UK. Can I apply for pre-settled status? So if you want to apply for pre-settled status, and the eligibility for applying for pre-settled status is for you to be in the UK, resident in the UK before the 31st of December 2020. If you were not in the UK by that date, let's say you were resident, but then you had like 6 months gap, and then you returned, let's say January, then you can try and apply for the pre-settled status, but the home office might take issue on the fact that you had a gap and you kind of cut your continuous residence, and so you may not be eligible to apply for the pre-settled status. The other one was, he was trying to, so one of you will probably be trying to get your digital status, access your digital status, and you can't access it. I think one of them is outside the UK, and I'm not sure if you can actually access it outside the UK. You're supposed to be in the UK to access it, but sometimes it doesn't work. So just because you tried it and it didn't work, it doesn't mean that they've changed their mind and then they took your status away. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that the system, the internet is not working, and so you have to come back. Okay, so Mitch Ritchie, hi, hello, good evening. Maya in the UK, thank you. How many months bank statement and utility bills do I need to provide for my spouse visa, please? Okay, if you've worked, okay, Mitch Ritchie, if you worked for the same employer for 1 year, okay, or at least 6 months, then you need to provide 6 months, okay? 6 months bank statement, 6 months pay slips. Utility bills, because what you normally do is when you apply for your spouse visa, you ask to provide proof that you've been cohabiting with your spouse, okay, for 2 years, 2.5 years since you were granted your visa. So you need to provide at least 2 years, 2 years of documents to show that you live together. So it can be, bank statements. So if you haven't got many documents, then provide the bank statements. 2 years of bank statements. 2 years of utility bills. So I know utility bills you have, I think they come every 3 months, isn't it? Every quarter. So provide those 2 years. You need council tax, you can provide those. But if you have other documents, then 6 months of bank statements. For financial requirement, it's 6 months. But if you haven't got many documents to show that you actually lived with your wife or your spouse, then provide the 2 years bank statements that will show that you're actually cohabiting with your spouse, and then 2 years of utility bills. Okay, so let me check the other questions I have received here as well. So I'm just going through the messages I receive. Just bear with me. But any questions you have, just pop them on the chat box. Okay, new life. Can someone with good immigration experience but without having qualifications help in filling? A lot of, Abdul, a lot of people do that already. Okay, so they do already, just help with completing application forms, and I see no reason why you can't help. But you should, if you're considering getting qualification, then OISC. Have you heard of immigration office? OISC, Office of Immigration Services Commissioner. OISC will have the course. You can get a course and then get qualified as an advisor. Okay. Hello, Saul. How are you? Okay, so let's see. Okay, so the other one that I have here is somebody completed a form and they have entered the wrong date of birth. Okay, so she was kind of panicking whether or not she needs to complete another application, and date of birth is quite very important. It's quite an important information that shouldn't be wrong. So it has to be correct. So two ways to do it, but I think the best way, if you've submitted your application and you've not paid the fees, because if once you've paid the fees, then there's not really much you can do. It's the information is already submitted and that's it. All you have to do is just write a letter to the Home Office and say, by the way, the date of birth on the form that I completed, I spotted a mistake. That was a mistake. It should be such and such. But what you have to remember is everything is online, and so it's all computerized. So whatever data you enter on the form, if it's a wrong date, then they store the wrong date. And I'm not sure if the Home Office actually has time to go onto your application, and even though you've said on your letter, the letter will be proof that you've tried to correct it. Okay, it'll be evidence that you have the information, okay, the correct information, and you've tried to fix it. But if you haven't got if it's completely wrong, then try and redo the application form and try and correct it, because otherwise you have one application for, let's say, this year, which has the incorrect date of birth, and then you probably, like previous years, you have an application that's completely different date of birth, and so it doesn't kind of match the information. Although with the UK, with mistakes like this, they're not so strict like in other countries where like you have for example, you made a mistake on your name, people panic. Oh my goodness, I made a mistake on my form. It's the wrong spelling. It's the wrong, it's as long as when you get your biometric card, because that's the most important, isn't it? You have the correct name, then you have nothing to worry about. But if it's just an application form, or you haven't got the sorry, and they hello Mail, how are you? Can they in this case send an email letter to the home office including the right details? Yeah, you can. Yeah, of course you can. Because sometimes you really, it's human error, isn't it? When you complete the application form and you realize it after you submitted, and maybe you've already paid the fees. In which case, there is absolutely no way you can fix it. It's not like you can redo your application, because it wouldn't let you. Otherwise, you have to pay for the immigration fees again. But if so all you have to do is write a really good letter or a covering letter to highlight the mistakes, so that whatever happens, if they say, oh, by the way, you're not, you made, you're lying, they could use this against you. You misrepresented, this is your date of birth, blah, 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 blah. Then you can just turn around and say, actually, in my application, I did highlight that I made a mistake and this was the letter. So keep a copy of the letter as evidence that you highlight the mistake to the home office. Luis Suarez, is proxy marriage to an EU acceptable on EU settlement scheme? If it was okay, let me rephrase that. If you already if you are in the UK, and the home office already accepted the marriage, okay, before the EU settlement scheme, so you came to the UK, you have the residence card, then yes. But if it's completely new, I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Luis. If what you're saying is you're not married, but then you're now married, okay, you weren't married before, but now you're married to an EU citizen by proxy, can that be used as, I would imagine so. Okay, I would imagine so. Because if it's, proxy, I haven't really got much experience about proxy marriages. I know that Brazil does it. Okay, so Brazil, they do proxy marriage, and I've not had dealings with Brazilian clients or clients who've had proxy marriages. Although, yeah, I did, and it was accepted. So unless recently they've kind of, I haven't heard anything that's supposed to be, that I can say for sure, no, it's not accepted. Okay, so that's what I was trying to say. If I've had experience with dealing with refusals, let's say, of people who were married using proxy marriage, no, I haven't had any, and I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything about it on the news or on the articles, or that the Home Office is looking into this proxy marriage and refusing applications. I've not had it. I've not seen it. Hello, Bill. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Of course. Okay. So let me have a look at the other questions here. Okay. So somebody asked again. This is okay. Okay. Again, this is EU settlement. Okay, EU settlement scheme. I know some of you are watching, and absolutely has nothing to do with EU settlement scheme. Let me just answer this, and then I'll talk about another application that might be of interest to you. So she's saying that she's applied for biometric for her. Can I apply for biometric appointment while my EU settlement scheme is in pro? Okay, yeah. So she's saying, can I apply for biometric appointment while her EU settlement scheme is in progress? So really, you can't apply for biometric appointment. You can't apply for to have this biometric appointment unless it's confirmed that you have a pre-settled status. Okay, so you have to have a status first in the UK and then apply for biometric appointment. I think that's what she's trying to say. That's why it's difficult with, when you send me messages. Sometimes I just kind of pick what you're trying to say, what you're trying to say, and that's why I do live so that you can maybe do like message here and I can read it and then I can ask you a question if that's something that I'm understanding your question correctly, because sometimes I'm sort of like just reading through the lines of your messages and I'm answering it on the basis of your message, but without really fully knowing the the background. So okay, is there? Oh, okay, so Shamsa, hi Shamsa, hi Ashley, hi Zur. How long does home office take in making decision on 20? Oh, okay. I haven't had application of this. I haven't dealt with an application of 20 years. Okay, but from my experience of the home office, with private life, because this is private life applications. Okay, it takes a while. Okay, Shamsa, it takes a while, so you can probably be waiting. Don't be surprised to wait 1 year for this kind of application, and please understand why. Because 20 years or any private life, it doesn't really, it's not, they have to actually check your history. Okay, so they check your history. They probably have a lot of checking to do, and it probably gets into a specific caseworker where that only deals with this type of application, and maybe they have a lot of backlog. And with this type of application, it's really long, isn't it? You're providing probably a lot of documents, so sorry, it's not it's not something that you can it's not something that you can just look, okay, and look in one go. So they'll be checking, they'll be reading, they'll be verifying the information that you provided, and so that's probably why it takes a long time. And don't be surprised to wait 1 year. Okay. Abdul, is there any way to add a newly born? No, no, there isn't. The newborn baby has to apply for his own separate application. So he has to apply for a visa on his own. Okay, it's not something you can add, because if the mother has already got the visa and then gives birth to a baby, a child, then the child will need to apply for another visa. In fact, I had one last year. What happened last year? Yeah, so the client had a spouse visa, and then she gave birth to another child, and we had to apply for the visa for the child. And when it came back, even though the sponsor complies with other requirements, the financial requirement, it came back with that they granted the new baby under the 10-year route. So can you imagine? So 10-year route, but either we challenged it or we just wait for the father to get the indefinite leave to remain, which is, I think, in a couple of years. And once he gets the indefinite leave to remain, then the boy can apply for British registration. So that's so there wasn't really any point challenging the 10-year route. Although I did write to the Home Office and say, you know, it's a mistake. So can you reissue the letter? But haven't had any, no luck. This is what the Home Office does. You write to them and then they don't really, unless you involve your MP, you complain, using that complaint email that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and you persist with the with follow up. You keep following it up, and then if you just write and forget about it, they're not going to, they're not going to reply to you and say, oh yeah, you're right. They're going to admit they don't have the resources. Okay. So no, it's okay. It's okay, Abdul. No problem. This is why I'm doing this live video, so I can, if you have any questions, then I can answer. I can share my knowledge with you guys. Okay, let me. Sorry, my throat's a little bit dry. Okay. Let's see the other questions that I've got here. Yeah, I haven't got water. I haven't got water next to me. I have like cold coffee, so I might drink that. Okay, yeah, I have an interesting question here. Jay Will. Okay, so apply for naturalization. Okay, you need to declare anything when you're applying for naturalization, or with any immigration application. Always declare everything, even though it's something that you think, I'm not going to mention it because I don't think it's relevant. Okay, so declare anything. Okay, and fixed penalty, it depends what it is. If it's just fixed penalty, on what, sorry, because there's a lot of, was it driving, what was it? There is a, not on top of my head, I can't tell you the time limit for disregarding any criminal convictions or any fines or fixed penalties. I think it's a year. Okay, it's a year, but let it not stop you. But you have to remember that when you're applying for naturalization, it's not an urgent application, is it? So if you can wait until you're absolutely sure that nothing will give the Home Office a reason to refuse your application, then don't submit the application. Okay. So if you're like, for example, fixed penalty, you're telling me fixed penalty, it can be, has it happened recently, or if it's not, then if it's like few years ago, then by all means, make the application. But oh, okay, okay. Parking fine, it's fine. Jay Will, I don't think you would have any problem, but like I said, you just need to mention anything that you think will question your good character. Okay, because it's better that you're upfront about on the application than they discover something later on, and which you have not um, shared with the Home Office, and by not sharing, and then they find out later on you have not disclosed what you should have told them, then you get refused, and then they'll label you whatever, um, deception or something like that. So yeah, declare anything, even though it's if you think it's minor. And to just give you a reassurance on the the good character requirement, if you have penalties, if you have conviction, if you've been arrested, all these kind of things. I had two applications before, where the client, she was arrested for shoplifting, and but she can't remember what happened, because she, at that time, I don't think her English was at a level that she understood, everything that's happened to her. So she mentioned that to me, and we had to mention it on the form and say, she encountered blah blah blah, and she thinks that we haven't got paperwork for it, because she didn't have paperwork for it, but she wanted to be sure that everything is disclosed. So we disclosed everything, and they didn't even ask about it. Okay, as long as you say, if you don't have information and you encountered the police, I don't know, many years ago, just mention it and say, I encountered police, blah blah blah. I was warned or something. I was cautioned, and but I don't have paperwork, and I can't remember when it was. But so say along those lines, and you'll be fine. Okay, so Rickeen, I made an application for pre-settlement. I'm non-EU, married in EU. Yeah, it's been 6 months now, and have no visa, as I've been here since. Oh, really? Okay. So, well, Rickeen, you need to call the EU Resolution Center. So Google EU Resolution. I think I've done this before. So I'm just gonna type up on the box. So I'm gonna type it up. EU Resolution Center. Call them, okay? Call and explain and ask what's holding it up, okay? So if you're yeah, sometimes, okay, Rikim, is it because you were in the UK, you've been in the UK since 2010, and then you married an EU citizen, and then you applied for pre-settlement? Is that correct? If that's correct, then that's probably why it's taking them a long time, because as far as I know, and I have to double check. Yeah, I know it's difficult. It's difficult when you call them. Either they don't answer, um, or or you wait. But okay, you should get a decision soon. Okay, but I tell you, if I'm not sure if you have to have family permit to apply for um, pre-settled status. I have to double check that, because as far as I know, you have to apply for the pre-settled status as an EU family member. You're supposed to have either had a family permit or a residence card already. So if you haven't got those, then did you use a lawyer, or did you do it yourself, Rikim? Okay. Hi, Zian. Hi, Zian. Hello. After I become British citizen, I'm planning to change my full name and gender through deed poll. Can I use this new information to acquire Filipino citizenship dual? Yeah, this is quite tricky, Zian, isn't it? Because I know I had one. I had a client one, and I know with Filipino passport, you can't change it. So whatever is on your old passport, right? That has to You renew it using the same name. I don't know how you change name in the Philippines. There isn't anything like the same as in the UK, where you change it through deed poll. So if you change your full name and gender through deed poll, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Not entirely sure how that works, because I know that if you send your application, okay, and the Home Office would would need your passport, okay, and they would probably send you a letter to say, do you want this? Do you want the new name, or do you want it on the passport name? Okay, so I was just trying to see if how we would work with let me see. If you change it, I think it's okay. What I think, Zian, what I think it's probably best. I know, sometimes it's best to do it, to have it reflected on your naturalization certificate, to have the new name, okay? But um, but it becomes complicated because obviously you have the Philippine passport, don't you? I would suggest to leave things as they are, and then once you get the British passport with the with the name, okay, you can then change. You can then use the deed poll and change the passport using the new name. I think that's the most straightforward way of changing the name, instead of sending the deed poll and have the naturalization certificate on the new name, because I'm sure it's not very straightforward, because they ask you, the thing is, they ask you to provide proof that you were called in that name. Okay, so you may encounter some difficulties if you do it that way, whereas if you leave things as they are at the moment and get the naturalization certificate in the name, in the current name, and then later on you can, after you've had your passport, so you get the naturalization certificate, have the passport in the old name, then have the deed poll, change your name, um, and then um, apply for a new passport using the new name. I know there's something about the gender. I'm not sure how you can get way around it because of the Filipino citizenship. I think what you're doing, probably you need. The thing is, I'm not so familiar with Philippine law, so you may need to get advice from the Philippine embassy first to see how this would work. Okay, if it would work with them, because I think to reacquire, I think that makes sense, right? Reacquire your Filipino citizenship, so give it up and reacquire it. I I know Filipino bureaucracy is also quite a nightmare. I know that. So you might encounter more difficulties using your strategy. so at least with I don't think you can change name with Filipino. You have to ask. Okay, Zian, I'm so sorry. You have to ask the Philippine embassy, but from the British law and British how you would do it that way, I would suggest apply for naturalization, and then that's how I would do it. Okay. Oh yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all, J Will. Okay. Okay, Rashid. Hi. Hello. I got foreign residence 2018 as my wife's EU national now. It's lots of confusion going on as some says I need to update my biometric residence permit before 31st of June 2001. Some says no, we need to update once it's past expiry date. Yeah, there is. It's true. There is a lot of there is a lot of confusion. Really, a lot of confusion on whether you need. If you had so you got it from 2018. If you have a residence card which it says under the EU regulations. I don't know what it looks like in when your card was issued, Rashid, whether it had EU regulations, so family member of an EU citizen, and there's the card refers to like EU regulations, then that needs to be changed. Okay, so it's not going to be valid. Yeah, it's not going to be valid 31st of June. In fact, yeah, unless they've issued it under, so unless your card has been issued under the EU settlement scheme, then it won't be valid after 31st of June. This is what the Home Office is advising. So, and I think even they probably don't know what's really going on, because it's very, it's nothing is straightforward at all on this. What's valid and what's not. As far as I know, those cards that have been issued under the EU regulations, 2016, then it's not going to be valid on after the 30th of June 2021. So 1st of July, yeah, they're not going to be valid. So that needs to be you need to replace it. And there's a video on how to replace the your biometric residence card in this channel, so you can look that up. Hello, Awudu. For overstayers, 2 years. Unfortunately, there isn't. 2 years is really young. I would say young. It's not old, young. It's very young. So nothing, no news, I'm afraid, for overstayers. And guys, you have to also watch out, because they are introducing these really they're introducing some very strict legislation on overstayers, and so it hasn't been implemented and it's just talk, but it's not going to be good news for overstayers, especially the young overstayers. Like 2 years is young, 2 years is young. If you, unless you have a child, a wudu, or a partner who can't live, who can't go to another country to live, okay, then there's a reason for you to, you can argue that there's a reason for you to stay in the UK and remain with your family. But if there's no connection with the UK, like you're just here, no connection, nothing, then there isn't any amnesty or anything like that at the moment. Okay, British passport requirements, Abdul. So yeah, you just complete a form from the Home Office, or you complete online, and you provide your naturalization certificate, old passports. Okay, so old passports, naturalization certificate. And do you do biometrics? I have not done passports before. I usually do the post office ones, and you can send them your photo. So you need 2 photos, and photos, naturalization. If you're married, then marriage certificate, and that also works with the child birth certificate. So like really basic. No, nothing like bank statements. You don't need bank statements, pay slips, nothing like that. So passport application, you only need your passport, your naturalization certificate, that entitles you to be to get the passport, or registration certificate for a child. You need 2 passport photographs if you're doing it through the post office, 2 or 3, 2, I think 2, and you need, yeah, and birth certificate if you're marriage certificate, birth certificate, marriage certificate if you're married, and if the parents are married for a child, then also provide that, and birth certificate if you're applying for a child. Yes, but it will have when you apply, it will it's quite straightforward documents that you need to provide for the passport application. Can the children use the same valid passport after they turn 16, 18? Yeah, if it's a valid passport, yes, of course you can use it. Yes, yes. No, Zian, I know you're not the only one. I actually dealt with one, the same situation as you, and he encountered some like difficulties with the name. Okay, but if I can remember what it was, but he was, yeah, he got his naturalization, he got his passport. Okay. Michigan. Okay, so Abdullah. Okay, Abdullah. Okay, so you applied for 10 years long residency, and it's still in the home office. That can't be right. Okay, so I can still apply for. Mm, can you apply for ILR? You can't apply for ILR if you've not had the the visa. If you're still waiting for a decision. I'm a spouse. You're on spouse visa, 5 years route. Okay, and 10 years long residency. So you have. So you sent your application for 10 years long residency, and you will wait. You're still waiting for it for the decision. Is that the question? Ah, okay, okay. Yeah, I get you. I get you. Yes. Okay. Um. Okay. Oh, I see. I get you now. I get your question. Sorry. Can you apply for ILR? Um, can you apply for ILR? It depend. It depends. You've been. It depends because the 10-year route. Okay, 10-year long residence ILR. It's very strict with continuous residence. So if you tell me, Annalisa, I've been in the country for 10 years, and every year I renewed my visa, faithfully on time, and I've not overstayed, then yes, okay, yes, on the continuous residence, you can definitely apply for ILR. But if you tell me, um, I've been in the UK for 7 years, and then they refused me on one occasion because whatever is the reason, and you've not held the visa um, for the 10 years. That's I have to look that up because it's not in accordance with the rules. Okay, so if you've waited, like, let's say, a few years, um, pending, I can't say for sure, yeah, apply for ILR because there's a court case there, you said, and I don't know whether there's any gap at all because they're very, very strict with gaps. I had one where, yeah, she was on she came to the UK as a student, continuously as a student, and then she married an EU citizen, and then she had the residence card, and then she got permanent residence card, and she tried to apply using her own credentials, meaning she's not relying on her husband's the fact that she's a wife of an EU citizen. Only she wanted to use the fact that she's been a student in the UK, but there's a gap of over, I think, 3 months because she applied and then they refused her visa because it was invalid, but it got returned. It got returned, and she didn't know until the Home Office I think, contacted her to say that it's been invalid because they returned her application and they asked her to provide something, and she didn't have visa for 3 months. So her visa expired, and it wasn't until 3 months till she validly renewed her visa, and there were 3 months gap. Home Office would not, wouldn't give her the ILR on that basis. So it's really strict. Um, okay, Rikeen, I would yes, I would write to the Home Office. Okay, so write to the Home Office if you've been waiting for a long time. Then I'll ask your lawyer to write to them, to complain to them, to just follow it up and see where what's taking so long, because you can't, it's April, May, June. You need to have a decision so that you can either appeal against it. Um, what's taking so long? So yeah, I would go to your lawyer and ask them to write a letter to the Home Office asking them for progress of your application. Um, so Alex and Diana Ray, okay, can you apply for spouse visa in the UK while COVID? The thing is, you can apply. Okay, so what you have to remember is, if you're in the UK and I know you see this information online, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't apply, it's not possible, all this information, um, which is not true. Okay, so you can apply, so you can submit an application for any reasons. Okay, the Home Office would love to have your money, so they'd love to keep your money. Okay, but what you have to remember is, why are you applying? Okay, so there has to be a reason why you're applying. um, there are some visa types, so you very clear visa types, like fiance visa, partner's visa, child's visa, you know tier 4, point-based system, all these visa categories. And and then then you may find that your application, you might think, I want to apply for this, but I don't know if I'm entitled to apply for this. What can I do? So there is what it's called applying outside immigration rules. Okay, so there's a special category for people who are applying that don't belong to a visa category. Apply outside immigration rules. So to answer your question, Alex and Diana, yes, you can submit your application while you're in the UK, and you can explain why you can't go back to your home country to apply outside. So, and you have to provide a letter. Your husband or whoever is the sponsor will have to write a letter to explain why you're applying, and why you can't be expected to go out of the country and return to your home country and apply there, only to return. But when you apply for a spouse visa, try and make sure that you actually have all the requirements, mandatory requirements, which are, your sponsor earns 18,600 before tax, and you have the English language requirement. So for English language requirement, if you're not from the English majority of English speaking country, like USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and all other countries, then you need to have the English test, which is uh, a very basic A1 in speaking and listening. And um, and then explain on the letter where you're applying. So you can say, well, with the COVID-19, where I am in, we don't want to be separated for a long time. We don't know what's going to happen. So we would like the Home Office to consider our application to allow my spouse to remain in the UK because of COVID-19. That's what I would. Do. Okay, let's go back to you, Abdullah, I came here as tier 4 student and then later on I extended and then my visa were curtailed after I applied for FLR. Yeah, you see, when you say you were curtailed, I knew that there was with the student visas, probably 90% of people who came on student visa at some point their visas were curtailed. Okay, so this is nothing new. Was refused, went to the Court of Appeal, rights were exhausted. Yeah, so you can't apply for ILR based on long residence, 10 years long residence because of that. Okay, so yeah, I would not advise you to waste your money on the ILR. So you need to wait for the for your eligibility to apply for the ILR, which is another, when you obtain your 5 years, then another, count 5 years from that, and then you can apply for ILR. Yeah, I know. It's absolute nightmare. They can be. Okay. Yeah, they have to prove insurmountable obstacles. Yeah, they do. It depends on each case. Okay. This to do with insurmountable obstacles. Yeah, with the pandemic, isn't it? Okay. So daughter got ILR through me, picked up her BRP and went back home country due to COVID. She time to be away before applying for naturalization. What do I do? That's really sad. So she's been in the UK. So she went to her home country for almost 2 years now. Is that she will? Um, if she can return, okay, because of the pandemic, she can apply for the naturalization will lapse. She won't be able to. She'll have to wait again to be able um, to qualify to become to naturalize. Uh, so there isn't anything you can do because it's really outside your control, and there is qualification for residency requirement if you apply for naturalization. And so if she doesn't meet the residency because she's been away from the UK for longer than the required number of days, then she'll just have to wait until she gets the qualification again. Okay, Abdul, yeah, I was supposed to do 7:30 earlier. So every Tuesday I do, but last Tuesday I wasn't able to do it. So YouTube Tuesday, YouTube Live Tuesday, usually I do live. So hang around if you haven't got anything better to do, and if you have a lot of immigration questions that you want to ask me, then yeah, feel free to join. Okay, guys, I'm okay. Almost 1 hour. Thank you. I enjoy hanging around and sharing my knowledge. But finally, for just answer your question, Abdullah, Abdullah. I am on 5 years route now, but main thing I want ILR is I want to go back to the side commission. Yeah, yes, I know. So yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, Abdullah. So just you know. I know it's taking a long time. You already did 10 years, and then you have to wait another 5 years to get you indefinitely to remain. It doesn't seem fair. I know it's crazy. Insurmountable test is quite high. Yeah, quite high. But each case is really different. Okay, each case is different. So it's sort of like lottery. I would say it's like lottery. You make the application, and you get granted, and it's like no questions asked. And then you will find some other unlucky applicants will go through will go through what can only be described as hell. Okay, go through this hassle of appealing, and then the home office saying no, you can go back to your home country. You can go, you can your British partner can go and live there with you, and you can live a happy life there, and all this kind of reasoning, and it can be very very expensive. So and then they use things like insurmountable obstacles. But there is a case law where if you apply in the UK on a spouse visa, and you have you meet all the requirements, the mandatory requirements, which is the what are they? English test and the financial requirement. Then you can argue that what is the point of me going all the way back to my home country only to be able to come back to the UK. Yeah, Chikwamba, that's right, exactly. So, is there any chance they can grant? No, no chance. No chance at all. It's very strict. Indefinitely to remain is very strict. So, and you can't even appeal against it. So, Agyarko. Yeah. So, Abdullah, you know all your cases. We should chat. Okay. So, okay, guys, thanks very much for hanging out with me, and have a lovely evening, and see you next week. Thank you. Bye.